Yeah.
If you've got the right to bodily autonomy, then you should have the right to abortion, regardless of medical necessity.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Because, like, it's your body and there's a thing growing in it.
Yeah.
If you want that thing to get out, you should have the right to get that thing out.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was reading a book called A Brief History of Philosophy, and it has a section on abortion, and it talks about the sort of back and forth between different arguments on abortion, and then it sort of ends with, I believe it ends with this idea of like, ultimately, while a lot of arguments about abortion focus on whether the fetus is a person or whether the fetus is conscious, all that kind of stuff. But then this argument comes in later on, which is sort of like, but it doesn't matter if it is. It matters whether it has a right to your body.
Mm.
And if it doesn't, like it's a thing that's growing off of your body that can't survive on its own. Does it have a right to your body against your will? And that's sort of where that argument, because a lot of the time it's focusing on like, is it conscious? Is it a person? These things that can't really be answered. They're not. They're very abstract and philosophical. But then does this little thing have a right to you to sort of sap your resources and take up your body? Well, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't.
Maybe not.
No. And
I think honestly, it's
because I don't have a right to take your resources from you. I don't have a right to just sort of
no.
Yeah.
And I think it's far more ethical. You stick a straw in my tummy and start.
I'm a
Get me your
person.
nutrients.
I'm a full person, but I don't have the right to take to like sort of parasitically take things off of you.
No, like I totally agree. We can talk more about the ethics of this and the morality of it in a second. But like ultimately, I think it's far more ethical to remove a fetus from your body. You know, a fetus that you don't want, that's basically draining your resources and taking your nutrients and all of that sort of stuff. I think it's far more ethical to get rid of that before it's been born, before it's got any concept of life, really, rather than have a kid that you don't want and neglect it or get it sent into foster care or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
not necessarily that somebody would do that if they don't want to have a child, but they're forced to. They're not going to then just automatically neglect it. I think a lot of the time, the arguments actually come down to a sort of, you've made the decision of how you feel about it, and then you sort of construct a logical reasoning behind why to justify how you actually feel emotionally about a situation.
Yeah, I think that people think that there's sort of a dichotomy here, that if you're anti-abortion, it's because you think abortion is awful and it makes you feel really bad and it makes you feel disgusted and you don't like it at all. And if you're pro-abortion, you're totally fine with it. That's not the case. Yeah. Because it's not pro-abortion, it's pro-choice. Yeah. Right? It's pro-choice for a reason. Because I could personally find, abortion so incredibly offensive and horrible that I would never ever, want to be involved in one in my life. Yeah. I wouldn't want to provide them. I wouldn't want to be with a partner who got one. That could be the case for me. I could still be pro-choice because while I find it personally offensive, others don't, and it's their body and their life, and it's like, why should I force them to raise another human or go through the difficulty of pregnancy or go through the potential dangers of childbirth just because I find this medical procedure like offensive or disgusting? You know what I mean? Like, it's not your body, so back off. Like, let them do what they want to do with their body. Is not affecting you, right? This isn't like a case of like someone getting a vaccine or whatever, where if someone is unvaccinated, that's going to affect you. It's not a case like that. It's a case of like, they're doing a thing with their own body. Let them do it, Did
you see that incredible Twitter, that incredible advert that was going around Twitter about abortion, where it was like, so it's like this dramatic scene and this doctor is talking to this lady who's pregnant and he's going, I'm afraid that we have some horrible news about your child. Your child's got this specific condition, which means that it's going to be born and within 3 minutes it's going to asphyxiate and it's going to suffer an awful lot. Now, obviously, abortion is never an easy conversation, but ultimately the decision is up to one person and one person only. And that person is Jeff. And then they talk about, I think it's Jeff. And then they have this picture of like the state governor. And then they call up Jeff and go, hey, Jeff, what do you think about this?
Jerry, man. So very good. Very good.